Okay, so I sat through Ugly Dolls, par request from Jaden the critic. So there you go, Jaden. Made sure to get that done. I consider myself pretty lucky this year. I haven't really seen anything that's terrible, anything that's bad. Maybe some things that have been less than amazing, but nothing that I would say if someone wanted to see it, I couldn't sit through it again. At the moment, we have a new contender. Before I start really ripping into this thing, let me get a couple things out of the way right now. Obviously, I'm not the tailored audience to this. The little kids are. And except for the little kid who was sitting directly behind me with their dad who just wouldn't shut up. And which is weird, because what happened was, in a lot of movie theaters, you have your standard seating, you have the lower seating, and then you have that little walkway that has the handicap seating right behind it. I was sitting, and there's usually a pretty big berth, like at least a couple feet, whereas normally you're just directly behind someone otherwise. I was sitting in the row that's directly in front of that aisle, and then you get the handicap seat, and I could hear them like they were right behind me. I don't know what the deal was. I'll say this. The movie has obviously a nice message to it about perfection being overrated, you are beautiful for who you are, that kind of thing. And I will also say this. Animation-wise, first off, it's a very colorful movie. It's very bright, very loud, there's music, so can keep your kid engaged. Again, the kid that was behind me, not included in that little conversation, but it could keep your kid engaged. And animation style, but they did do they kind of did the Lego movie thing where you see the ocean that's next to Uglyville, with someone moving through it. It does look like it's, what would be the best terminology? The fabric, whatever the Ugly Dolls are made of. It looks like it's the cloth material mixed with water. So they did, and the sun looks like it's actually like a giant ball of yarn. So they did do some things a little clever with the animation. I can't harsh on this too badly, because there are things there for little kids. There's one or two jokes that we actually did get a little bit of a laugh at. Not a laugh, but you're like, like that. It's like, all right, that was cute. There was a few moments like that, but look, take all that little bit of positive I just threw in there out of the equation. This is, we have a property, we have this like pop culture thing. Let's make a movie out of it and just make it as generic and formulaic as you frickin' can. I can't recall if anyone... No, I take that back. Wanda Sykes was a legitimate actress voicing one of these characters. Every other actor in here... Pitbull was in there. Kelly Clarkson. Blake Shelton, for God's sake. Not voice actors. And to be fair, again, a little... Not necessarily positive, but not a negative on the movie. They didn't hurt the movie, though. Hearing Blake Shelton sing was very odd, just because it kind of felt out of place. It did, because everyone's all bright and upbeat, but then Blake Shelton's got that country twang, and it's a little on the lower side. Whereas even Pitbull, despite the fact he's a little hoarse the way he talks and sings, can sing a bit more upbeat. Get loose, get crazy. He can do that a bit. Blake Shelton, not so much. Blake Shelton's a very country guy, so... He has that style of singing and voice. So that did feel jarring. So, it's not like voice actors usually add much to anything. As long as they are competent at their job, it's not that big an issue. But, it didn't help. And then you get to and here's the problem. This movie is technically two different movies. And then, you get the first half of it, I want to say. Not even first half, first third. It's only 87 minutes long. It's not even that full hour and a half. So maybe the first 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes, where you get them wanting to go to the big world, which is the real world. Then you get them stuck in Perfectville. Then you get them going to the big world and everyone living happily together. while I'm watching this, I'm like, this is such a commentary on religion, I can't even begin to start. Because you get this one character, our main character, who if she was less annoying, might be more likable. But my God, did they not do a good job at making her really endearing? Because she's so obnoxiously hyperactive, it really starts to grate after a while. And she's constantly talking about, today's the day. It's like, you have no proof. It's like, yeah, but maybe there is. She's talking about religion. If you have no proof of it, but someone believes regardless. And, you know, it's faith. It's faith. And in the, hog? I can't remember. The rabbit, Blake Shelton's character, the rabbit. He's even talking about, it's like, you know, I don't want her to be disappointed when it turns out it's not true. It's like, that's a commentary on religion, on non-religion versus religion very much. It's like, those who don't believe, you know, don't want those who do believe to be disappointed when nothing happens. But granted, when that happens, they'd be dead, theoretically speaking. But you get the point. It's almost very blatant commentary on religion. But then you get into the other half of the movie, which is about the whole perfection versus imperfection. And you get the main villain, Lou, and it's clear how much of an ass he is. You actually get a legitimately clever, not clever, but at least a reasonable explanation on why he is different than the rest of them. Because throughout the entire movie leading up to the reveal, I'm like, okay, are they going to explain why the hell he's still here if he's so perfect? And they do. They do explain that because he's actually a prototype, because they're all dolls. Even the humanoids are dolls. But he was a prototype. He was not meant for public consumption as a product. He's basically the only one. And because he's a prototype, and it wasn't meant for the big world. He didn't understand what it took to be a child's toy. So I'm like, okay, that's at least a reasonable explanation. I won't go so far as saying it's clever, but at least in terms of the world they've built, it's a reasonable explanation. And then there's running jokes, like with a character named Bobble, or something like that. He's the big gray one. That he's constantly pulling out stuff. He's like, they got a situation, he's gonna try to pull out stuff to help. He's got a bunch of things in his pockets that are perfect for the situation. It's like, I got nothing. That's a running joke that got old the first time they used it for me. There's one of the perfect doll characters who's a complete dumbass, and it's never really addressed. It's just the fact that she's a dumbass. She's not bright at all. My hair's weird at the moment. She's not bright at all. So it just, oh man. And look, the message is a good message about the whole perfection versus imperfection. We are perfect because of our imperfections. I get that. I've seen plenty of movies like that. I'll see plenty of movies long after that had that same message. But could you be less irritated? I'm sorry, these characters are not very at least to me. Obviously, I'm not the right demographic. I'm reaching my 30s here, and this is not the movie for me. Now, Toy Story 4, that's a different story entirely, but it's clearly a different type of anime movie. Look, this was painful. This was hard to get through. The song, I'll say this, there was one original song that was decent. I'm like, alright, because the problem with a lot of these songs, like You're Ugly, or something, I can't remember the actual name of the song, but it's basically talking about You're Ugly, Lou's song, is that he starts to actually have dialogue in the song, not just like singing, like sing-talking almost. Exactly like sing-talking. And the music's gone, but he's like having a conversation with her, with Loxy, I think is the main character's and the main doll's name. And he just starts talking like this, I've never seen anything like you ever before. There's no music play, and then it just goes into the song, and like, okay, ugh. Is there anything better than this? I'm sorry. That was hard. That was a hard one to sit through. The only one song that's any decent, I called Unbreakable or Unstoppable because I think that was a line. It's actually a relatively decent song about overcoming your personal issues and loving you for you and going to show the world to accept you for who you are. It was actually a decent song. It wasn't amazing. I'm not going to be humming any of the songs after this. I'm not going to be singing any of them. It's not like Moana or Coco where I was legitimately like singing the songs afterwards. Hell, I can still sing a lot of You're Welcome. What can I say except you're welcome? The earth, the sun, the sky. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome. I guess I'm just your ordinary demiguy. I can sing a lot of that song. That's a good song. But it had one decent song and that was it. Yeah, the villains come up and whatever, the reveal. Evie gets revealed, he still tries to just ruin everything and just. I have to expect people to say everything was awesome, everything is awesome. A much better animated film that was out this year, like movie 2. I don't know. There was no heart to this movie. I think that's the biggest problem. This felt just generic Hollywood. Now here's the thing. I've been keeping an eye on the box office, obviously, because I do that. And the movie's only made on $45 million. So it does have a very low budget. For a low budget, it's really not that badly made in terms of animation quality. Though the lip movements on the Ugly Dolls do not always match. But they're dolls, like, not human dolls, but they're, dolls, like fabric dolls. So I can let that slide. But it's only made at $45 million. Now, granted, I don't know what the ultimate opening weekend's going to look like, but it's not going to be big. It might be below $10 million. If it had made maybe like a $20 million opening weekend, it could stand a shot of breaking even, but unless the foreign kicks in pretty hard, no. But this film just feels like generic Hollywood mulch, just thrown out, just blah. They just basically blended a bunch of ideas for the concept of an Ugly Doll movie and just threw it out. So, look, I've stopped rating movies. I've stopped doing that. If you were to ask me in my opinion, though, on should you see it, should you give it a chance, I will say this. If you have young kids who will keep quiet during the movie, person who is sitting behind me, look, I get it. Sometimes you can't afford a sitter. But if you are an adult man, like me, and you're not doing a YouTube channel where you had to go see this or any sort of thing like that, if you're not in a job where watching movies is something you have to do, the only reason you would actually be in there, I would imagine, is that the fact that you had a child that you could take to it and keep them quiet. So, that being said, try to keep your kid quiet. The kid just kept talking. From the way the kid sounded, the kid couldn't have been more than 3 or 4. So, because the kid's basic language, he actually had a pretty good grasp of sentences. It's like, my tummy's feeling upset and all that stuff. So, it's not like, my tummy feels good. No, the kid was pretty decent at speaking. Unlike me sometimes. But, look, it was a 3 or 4-year-old. I get it. Maybe a 5 or 6-year-old could have been a little bit more quiet, could have understood, because the guy kept telling the kid to be, they need to be quiet, and while he was telling him to be quiet, the kid kept talking. The kid didn't understand that he had to be quiet. I don't know. It's not like it was ruining the movie for me. The movie was... So anyway, as I was saying, if you have a young kid that would be quiet during the movie, there's better hell, Trolls was better than this, and I didn't like Trolls a lot, but I liked it okay. It wasn't the worst. Had better songs in there than this, but a lot of those songs were already it was a jukebox kind of musical. Hell, Strange Magic, which I give a lot of crap for, is a better movie than this, I think. And that's again because there's some decent songs in there. The animation's a lot better. I'll give it that also. And the story is more something I could get more behind. I'm not unless it's done properly, like like any movie could be. Unless it's done properly, I'm not big on the whole. You're imperfect, therefore imperfection is better, therefore you're wrong, and then we're going to show you how our imperfection is perfection and all that. I'm not big on those stories because most of the time it's really easy to just make those simplistic and generic and just make them unappealing. Just stereotyping the standard formula with those kind of stories. It's really easy to do that, so I don't normally like those type of movies. They can be done well. Trying to think of one off the top of my head that was done well. A movie about imperfection versus perfection, where the imperfection obviously won out. That wasn't bad. Off the top of my head, I can't. I'm trying to think of an animated movie. I mean, WALL-E, I guess, is kind of an example. Compare him to Eva. He's a pretty low-grade robot, but he ends up saving the day. So, or lower quality model robot versus Eva. So yeah, he ends up saving the day. So yeah, I could say WALL-E's kind of one. I can't think of one right off the top of my head. I'd have to think on that. But look, unless you meet that certain criteria, this is one you can definitely skip over, in my opinion. We got Abominable, that one about the Yeti. A girl takes the Yeti back to Everest and someone's trying to chase the Yeti and get it back. You're like, okay, I'll be honest. It's not some of it seems a little generic, like the other side characters that are joining around the quest. But at the same time, like, animation's good. I still do like that song. Say, so wake me up when it's not over, when I'm wiser. Or when it's all over. I do like that song. And so wake me up when it's not over. I keep saying when it's not over, when it's all over. No, I think that looks like an okay animated film. Dora. The more I see this trailer, the more I'm cringing. Like, oh, I mean, look, I get that you're a young actress, and this is probably your breakout role, maybe. Oh man, maybe you could have held out a little longer for the breakout role, because man, what they're having you do is just the bright and chipper 16 to 17-year-old Dora. Yeah. And then Michael Pena, what happened? It's like, I love you, Michael Pena, I do, but it's like you're gonna be invited to these parties called raves, and music's gonna be like, you have Michael Pena, he's a funny ass dude. What are you doing? And you got the guy, I can't even remember the actor's name. He played Jango Fett. He played Aquaman's dad. I love seeing that actor show up. He's the villain. And that line too that Diego's like, this isn't the jungle, this is high school, it's life or death. I want to punch you in the face, Diego. I want to punch you in the face for that. Now I get what you meant by that, because the high school and the jungle are very different. And in its own way, it is life or death socially. But guess what? The jungle is life and death literally. I'm going to just take this book and smack him. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. I hope I don't have to see that. Addams Family, I want a full trailer on that. Because I know this one's just kind of a teaser. It's not that bad. Look, I mean, I don't know. I'm just wondering if people are kind of behind the Addams Family at this point. Most people know, even today, modern fans still know who the Addams Family is, who they are. But I'm just wondering if it's a little too late for a new movie, even if it's animated. What was this one? I'll skip that one because I can't remember exactly what I wrote. Palms? From the director who gave you Book Club, about them reading 50 Shades of Grey, old women reading 50 Shades of Grey. Now old women wanting to be cheerleaders and, fighting adversity and people, literally a similar plot to what we just had in this movie. Not my genre, obviously. Of the movies I'll tend to skip, that's probably one I'm going to skip. And hell, look, Book Club actually made a little bit of money, so I can see why they do these movies. I do. I'm not, and I heard people even say in the theater, which had a certain, 20 or 30 people in it, so it wasn't crammed, but it certainly wasn't empty. I even heard people say, I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see that. I was like, okay, look, all power to you. Pikachu, Detective Pikachu, that goes without saying. I believe that's next week, so that's what I'll be catching next week. What was it that I wrote here? A-N-G-B... I can't remember what that one is. My Spy, with Dave Bautista, and he's playing a CIA agent, and this kid basically finds and blackmails him while he's on a mission. And I'm like, okay, first I'm just like, I'm glad to see Dave Bautista getting more work, because he's got that Stuber and he's got this coming out. I was like, hey, they're starting to give him a bit more meat, because Dave Bautista himself will tell you he's not the strongest actor in the world. Excuse me, I just put my phone in my pocket. He'll tell you he's not the strongest actor in the world. He'll be the first guy to tell you that. But you get an actor who knows how to use his strengths, like James Gunn does with the Guardians movies, absolutely. Hell, like the Russos did. They might have had James Gunn consult a little bit, but like the Russos did in Guardians in Infinity War. Denis Villeneuve, who did... Now, I didn't really like Blade Runner 2049 that much. I'm in the minority on that one, actually. Actually, none of my friends really liked, and me, Mark, and the powers that be, when we all saw it, really didn't like Blade Runner 2049 that much. But his, like, the beginning scene with him, he's really good in that scene. So, and he's good as the henchman. And granted, he had one line of dialogue in Skyfall, but still, he was, excuse me, Spectre. But he was good as the henchman Spectre. So, Dave Bautista has his strengths, and as he continues to evolve as an actor, I'm going to be curious to see where he ends up. So I'm glad that he gets to maybe stretch his wings a little bit. Like there's one scene where, oh god, how did the scene kind of play out where he did something like, we'll get some ice cream, make you feel better, and he's eating ice cream. He's like, it does make you feel better a little bit. But at the same time, I'm watching. He's like, this wouldn't happen in real life. Like legitimately, this would not happen in real life. Not that though they should have left it. I don't know how she ends up getting in that building that they're in anyway. Maybe they left the door open. Not they leave the door open. Maybe she picks the lock. Plausible. But there are kids who are that smart by the age. She's probably like only in her early, like maybe not anywhere between 9 and 11, maybe 12. Point being though, she walks in, it's like, yeah, it's like this live stream. It's like, yeah, oh, it's like, wouldn't it be horrible if you guys got found out? It's like, to which if I were there, I would have like, are you serious right now? It's like, yeah, I'm serious. Like, no, stop, wait, hold on. You realize you're actually putting people's lives in danger because you want something from us, the CIA, that you decided it was smart to record us. Do you know how many lives you are endangering right now? Now, if the kid was still being how she is in the movie, I would have at that point been like, are you a little psychopath? Are you a legitimate I would have. There's no way the movie scenario would actually happen. But whatever, it's a movie. It's meant to not be realistic all the time. And yeah, but let's be clear. This isn't Cop and a Half with Burt Reynolds. And that wouldn't even happen. Seriously. That's where you, just to sidetrack to Cop and a Half real quick. And Cop and a Half is like, okay, kid, you realize that being a police officer means you must uphold the law and respect the law, right? You are not doing that right now. In fact, you are withholding information, and that's obstruction of justice. You realize you want to be a cop? You're already sucking at it. So, yeah, I get these wacky premises. Oh, she's a girl, he's a CIA agent, and together they're gonna get into some shenanigans. He's a grumpy old lifetime cop. He's a spunky little kid, and together they're gonna be cop and a half. That being said, My Spy doesn't look that bad. That's me nitpicking it, but let's be clear. The way my mind works, I actually do try to look at try to look for flaws in movies when I'm watching, just because I'm like, okay, is there anything wrong in this movie? And unfortunately, my brain works sometimes to be like, okay, this wouldn't happen at all. Period. I digress. I digress. So yeah. It looks like it's going to be the year of Dave Bautista. A little bit. He's got 2 movies coming out this year. I'm looking forward to them. They seem to be comedy. That's another thing too. The movies seem to be comedies. So hopefully they're going to be able to play this right. Maybe it's going to be something along the lines of John Cena, where John Cena's starting to find his stride in comedy, but he's not quite there yet. Dave Bautista does seem to be finding his stride a bit more too. And that's the thing. We've seen him in action, and the Guardians are action sci-fi comedies to a degree. But we haven't seen him in a straight comedy, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero, Magic, What If, anything I do on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. Still got a who would win that I didn't do yesterday, and I got to do today. Trying to think. I got the What If and the who in the box office tomorrow. I did say I was going to see The Intruder on Tuesday. I'm still hoping to do that, but if I don't, please don't get on my case for not doing that. Things just happen. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Ugly Dolls and all the trailers I got. I think I spent almost the same amount of time on the trailers as I did the Ugly Dolls review. Almost. I digress. Thanks for watching. See you next time, folks. Later.